Well, it was Mother's Day, and we had just moved into a house, Jeff's childhood home in Baltic, and John had a cold and cough that hadn't gone away or wasn't getting better, and my sister said he didn't look very good, and she said, you take him into acute care. She insisted I take him. I heard the lab tech tell the doctor outside the closed exam room door of what his counts were. So I knew right away, I just knew that he had leukemia. But 2 days later, they referred us to Mayo Clinic. Feel bad to this day, but I prayed for Jesus to take him from me, us, because I didn't want to fall in love with him anymore than I already was. I mean, the future was so scary, and I didn't know what we were about to endure or my baby was about to endure. So I actually prayed for Jesus to take him.
Yeah, I was just afraid, scared because I just lost my dad. And yeah, like she said, you don't want that suffering for your child. It's hard.
It was painful separation because Jeff had to keep working, and I took a big leave of absence, and it was a horrible separation from Annie and me and my husband, and we only saw each other on weekends, and the separation when it was Sunday night and it was time to go back to Sioux Falls, it was very traumatic and on Annie and me and us, all of us, really. He had radiation to his spleen, and then initially the chemotherapy only did one thing, and it was he had a virus that went along with the cancer because his immune system was so low. And so it wiped out that horrible virus he had, but it didn't touch the cancer. So that's when they had to take the next step, and we had to decide and if we were going to put Ann through that and John through that.
And first they tested everybody in our family.
Right, because we didn't want to use her,
Yeah, and she was the closest match. She wasn't a perfect match, but she was the closest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the transplant's kind of a miracle in itself. They did a stem cell transplant, which is basically like a bone marrow transplant, like you look at a bone marrow transplant. And they harvest the stem cells from Ann in a machine. They pumped her blood out into a pheresis machine, they call it, that separates the stem cells from the rest of the blood cells. The miracle of that transplant is they just put that right into his vein. They don't have to place it anywhere. They put the stem cells into his blood, and it finds its way to the bone marrow. It's just I just always have thought that was such a cool, it's a miracle that it knows to go there, that it rebuilds those cells. And well, Pastor Tim came all the way to Rochester just for the transplant.
Surprised me.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That was pretty cool.
In the congregation, they had a bake sale to raise some money for us. Just the prayers, the prayer chain. I mean, people we didn't even know. I mean, unceasing prayer. And I'm sure there people still are.
Yeah.
And I think there was updates all the time in the bulletin, and so which would help people with their prayer life as well. So it was nice. Nice cards of well wishes all the time.
the transplant was like my biggest struggle in life. And nothing is going to top it, and nothing is going to top it for my parents. And my faith is always strengthened by it, because having that in the back of my mind, that he calmed that storm, you know? He calmed it for my parents and everything like that. I am afraid of it coming back, but I have a really, really strong feeling that it's going to be okay if it does come back, you know? It is going to be calmed again.
Initially, I prayed for Jesus to take John because I didn't want him to suffer. I just always think that this is just such a temporary life, that John
That we would see him in heaven.
he ultimately would be raised up, that it wouldn't be the end, as horrible as that would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know that I would have survived it. I think I would have,
But after seeing my dad suffer, that was hard. It was really hard. We didn't want that for our boy. It was really hard.
it's not just about the little patient. It's about the family as a whole. And to seek Jesus and reach to him. You can't do it alone. Or if you do, I'm sure it just must be miserable and very lonely. But if you stay strong in the Word and consume yourself with that, even with everything that's going on, then it will helps lighten the blow. And it gives you hope. Helps you realize you're not alone and that it will end. That this is such a temporary life. This is just a itty-bitty little fraction of what we get to experience, and just realize there is always hope.